Welcome back, everybody. It is the Working Brother back at you with another talk. Yet again, we've got George McMillan III and some glitches. As you can see, my camera is acting up. So I apologize in advance. It is the cable, I guess. I don't know. I was testing it yesterday. It worked fine. Now it seems to be going all haywire. George also is puking up a lung. George, you okay there?
Yeah, I'll survive the day, I think. It's
all
very
right.
dusty here, so it kind of aggravates my allergies a little bit.
It's that, huh? It's not the drones in the air that've got you coughing?
No, I don't live in New Jersey anymore.
In any case, George, we're going to talk about Syria, aren't we?
Okay, let's talk about Syria.
We've got a slide set that George prepared.
Yes.
Everybody who's new here, hi, this is a comedy show. Nothing we say has anything to do with reality. And now that that is out of the way, we've also got some memes coming up. Don't forget to subscribe. 40-50% of you are not subscribed, and you still watch for some reason. I don't know why. But anyway, George, you want to walk us through this slide set? Have you got it open on your other monitor? So that
yeah, I can do that.
do that so that your shifty eyes give people something to comment about. And we like driving the algorithm. So let me light a cigarette here, because I've seen people complain when I don't smoke. They're like, wow, you made it through a whole episode without smoking. So yeah, also I've been doing some testing. People who are on Telegram will know I upgraded my PC. So I've been doing some testing with all that flight sim stuff. I'll leave links to old videos, but there might be newer, better things coming around the horizon, including maybe lives, now that I have a CPU that can handle stuff like that. George, you ready?
Born ready. Like I said, I'm here for you today.
Right?
I did.
Go on.
Yeah, I've done a whole bunch of different recordings. I was on with Ann Vanderseel for a couple of hours. Everybody already knows I've been on with Felix and Michael the other day. I think that's the first time we recorded in, I don't know, over a year, or is it a year and a half, or I can't even remember.
Yeah,
it's
been a while.
I've been on with Stu Turley, Energy Newsbeat, and then Constantine Martelli, who's him and Goran are on your Telegram chat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I was on with those guys.
Just throwing this out there, considering the camera glitches and the fact that this is like a €50 camera from like 3 years ago when I started this whole thing. You can buy me a coffee, in case you didn't know. Link in the description. And to everyone who has bought coffees, thanks. Now, George, let's get into these slides. Page 3, Levels of Warfare. Oh, this looks familiar. Should I leave a link?
Oh, actually, you know what? Go up to the top one, because the whole thing is, the whole thing is about the small minds discuss other people. Yeah, in social media, yeah, TikTok and stuff like that, it's just people talking about each other. And then news events shows are talking about events, but they're still talking about people. And there's some really great news shows that I watch all the time. Well, I mean, everybody knows I like the Duran and I like Brian Berletic. Yeah, just a shout out to Joaquin Flores. If you take what Mike Benz talks about as far as censorship, and then Brian Berletic talks about, the National Endowment for Democracy and the NGOs, how they, orchestrate these color revolutions and stuff like that. Mike Benz talks about how these same groups have the dial-a-riot because, we did the link analysis before for, talking about other topics, but since big tech has everybody in different buckets as far as what their voting preferences are, they can find out, the far left protesters, send the emails to them, and then have them go out and protest, whether it be at Trigg Square or in Maidan Revolution or in Bangkok. Mike Benz calls those dial-a-riots. So yeah, I really like listening to the combination of Mike Ben's Brian Berletic and looking at Joaquin Forrest's Telegram page, because the three of them together really show how multiple entities work together. I mean, I did that in that slide set on that other issue is why I showed that slide set, because they use social media to do massive link analysis. You know, I was watching
conspiracy theorists.
I was watching the Jason Bourne movie, the fourth one in the series, or was that the fifth one? Anyway, the last one they did, where they show how Tommy Lee Jones is the CIA is backing this tech giant to get backdoors into the software to then do link analysis and profile everybody, and it ends up with Jason Bourne coming in and whatever.
We're not doing movie recommendations. We're doing Syria and geopolitics.
No, I was talking about link analysis. That's what I was talking about.
So Palantir, is that what they're called?
I have no knowledge of that.
I watched a video about something of that name, I think. Anyway, let's get into levels of warfare. Grand, strategic, right.
Operational,
tactical, institutional stuff level on the side.
Yeah,
and
go back up to the top one and let me finish this point. Okay.
George, it's good to have you back.
Yeah, I'm going someplace with this one, and I want people to understand it. So yes, the reason why I'm using frameworks of analysis is Brian Berletic was talking about nobody does, an overarching fact pattern of the whole Eurasia. Well, I do nothing but that. But when you do that, you go into analytical frameworks where you stop talking about day-to-day events so much as you build the framework, explain the methodological framework, and then you explain how the framework explains events. So yeah, I can come to conclusions very, very quickly by, on day-to-day events by using these analytical frameworks. But to the average audience, you have to spend a lot of mental effort into learning what these frameworks are, but then it saves a lot of time on the back end once you get over that learning curve. So that's why analytical frameworks are huge in the engineering side, in the STEM degrees. But, not a lot of people like this kind of stuff. But yeah, on Stuart Turley's site, yeah, they love it. I get 93% completion view, completed views on any video I do. And those things are hour and a half long. So yeah, he's super impressed. Oh, on the other
different strokes for different folks. That's why we gotta interject here with the memes. We often lose people when you start talking too serious. But I have to pretend I care. If nothing else, for the algorithm.
Yeah.
Let your friends sponsor me a bit, and then I can have my own website with my own hosting videos, and I can make them accessible to all, and then we can make it a strictly non-comedic show.
Well, I don't.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I got you there. Yeah.
In the meantime, you get it? You see what I did there? It's time to go. Was I a good meme? No. You were one of the best. Well, actually, no, he wasn't one of the best. He was one of the worst. At least that's what Nimakata said. So let's get to Syria, and let's discuss ideas instead of people, and geopolitics instead of jihadis. Come on, George.
Oh, are you ready? I thought you were on a roll.
No, I was waiting for you. I was warming you up.
Oh yeah. So yeah, not a lot of everything I do is at the grand strategic level, because you have the military people that are trained on only basically on the tactical and operational level. Some of the generals get to the strategic level, but the overarching grand strategic level, that's by the economic PhDs, basically in big finance and big oil. And when I was talking to somebody just a couple weeks ago before the election, and we're like, there's probably only a few dozen people here and there Yeah, at the corporate level, at the top of the corporate level, because all right, well, you know some of the people that are in the Telegram chat, and they talk about how the most MBAs aren't aren't taught the grand strategies, and I've been talking to a bunch of Wharton School people, you know, at our at the Financial Policy Council event. Oh, I was on with them last week too, but there's so very few MBAs or economics people that they actually send to the grand strategy seminars at Yale. So what that tells me is the top 1%ers, because okay, you're not really talking about the 1%ers. At that point, you're talking about the 1%ers that control everything. Maybe say like, I don't know, the Red Shield people or the Vanguard BlackRock type people, and then the oil companies. They're only sending some.
I have no idea what kind of people you're talking about. No idea.
Yeah, I know. So, well, you're talking about gladiators, shields. Yeah. So anyway, there's probably they're only training a few people they're only cross training a few people is the word I should say. At that level, it seems to be like a few dozen people here and there. Not a lot of people. So if you think about, there's not a lot of people on that grand strategic level, but yet they're controlling all the military levels. They're controlling, in the U.S. government, all the executive branch agencies, including the law enforcement branch agencies and the intelligence communities. So, again, we have this, veneer of democracy. And then like General Wesley Clark was talking about, there's a foreign policy coup. It's kind of always been like that, except now it's so bad. It should be blatant. I was about to say right now, it's so blatant. Everybody should see it. But, there's probably 60% of the people that actually watch, CNN and Fox News and actually believe it. So no, there's probably 80%. It's just mind-boggling how this level of propaganda works.
Yes, it is, George. But we've grown accustomed to it, haven't we? That's kind of what the whole point of it is. Shall we move on? Sea power versus land power refresher.
It still blows my mind the degree that people can't see through the nonsense.
What blows my mind is these technical glitches. And if they're annoying you, remember, you can always donate and I can get a new camera. Power versus land power strategies. There's a whole playlist. I should make a separate playlist just about this. There's already a playlist of George, but I should make a separate playlist just about this stuff. George, you want to give us you want to read this out loud?
Yeah, well, I was going to talk about the number of people that annoy me, but we don't have 5 hours.
And really, you should be spending your time doing better things.
All right, we'll go back to the frameworks of analysis and talk about ideas. We'll talk about ideas and vent. We're going to stick to the upper end. All right.
Go on.
Yeah, so this is just, the more one understands the Western sea power strategy is to encircle Russia by exploiting ethnic, religious, and linguistic rivalries, the more one will understand the regime change destabilization strategies across Eurasia. And I got to switch down. I got to go over to my own slide.
George, so we haven't been practicing. You're not keeping up.
I forgot to hit the down button. So just let me go on. The geopolitical strategies are about controlling the maritime, riverine, and terrestrial land bridge choke points. Yeah, let's just hammer this out and then get down to the maps. Okay, so I already went over the top part of that. It's just big finance and big business that then control the government institutional levels, not just in the military side, but in the executive branch agencies and in the intel agencies. Same thing in US, same thing in Britain. The key takeaway here is after World War II, they changed the economic coal and steel union between Britain and France, and I mean not Britain and France, the Benelux countries and Germany to control the Ruhr Valley. Then they expanded that to the European, to the EC, and then they made the EC the EU. So they had to create a federal system of Europe in order for these financiers to control Europe. So and then they moved the European Union east after the Cold War, because you want to erect in a non-military application using the government, using the executive branch agencies that mirror the local. I don't want to get in trouble, so I got to word this carefully. The U.S. has its different military and executive branch agencies and other agencies, I'll say, that interface with the local government, agencies also on all spheres. And it's that interaction that they can then exert heavy influence on those other countries. Yeah, I think I worded that as comedically as I can.
Yes, it was a little awkward, but it was comedic nonetheless.
Yeah, I don't want to. There's certain words I should not say. I might be negatively impacted if I was too blunt. I gotta be. I need to be discreet.
We fully understand. Understand. That's why this is a comedy show. Just in case anybody's wondering. Let me go through this. Just in case anyone is wondering, this channel is not eligible for monetization. Thank you to everyone who's been a patron, and all like 5-6 of you. And thanks to everyone who's bought me a coffee. Everybody who is a patron, if you actually do want anything that will make your experience more interesting or valuable, do write to me on Patreon. So.
Oh, by the way, I got to throw this in there since you just did that.
Go on.
Stu Turley has done 7,000 videos on YouTube over decades, or a decade. Mine are the only one. I am the only person that is demonetized. Every single one of my videos is demonetized. Okay, all I do, people see on my slide sets, I have all my academic citations.
So you're saying it's not because of Russian propaganda and the Russian bear that we're gonna have on soon as well, but it's because of American time traveling propaganda that you bring with sources and quotes. What can I say?
That's why I was giving the shout out, to Mike Benz and Berletic and Joaquin Flores, because it's not just all I do is just talk about academic books. I clearly post the academic books on the slide sets. So one would think that would be 1,000% legal, right?
Legal does not mean monetizable, apparently. In any case, apparently. Shall we keep going with the slide set, or shall we skip over to the maps where it's more interesting?
Oh, just go down. I mentioned I'm doing this out of order, but we'll click through it anyway, just for the hell of it. Because it's General Wesley Clark that brought up the issue of the foreign policy coup, not me. But he doesn't get in trouble because he's a 4-star and I'm not. Well, I'm not even in the military, so yeah.
GWAT. An Operation Cyclone, we covered extensively. Wesley Clark also extensively. I'll leave a link somewhere maybe. If not, go search the playlist with George.
So let's stop on number 5.
All right, go on.
Okay, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, let's go to number 3, because I'm watching the Sean Ryan show. Great show. It doesn't matter who you bring up. They have no idea. And I've been talking about this for 3 years now. Well, what got me into trouble with the powers that be is I was writing this on LinkedIn while the Kabul thing was going on.
Oh, I don't have it handy. I came across a meme about LinkedIn the other day, and I was going to save it for the next talk with you. I'll have to prepare it for the one after this.
There's
But
a
yeah,
couple
I've
of
got
individuals.
man LinkedIn. No comment. That's all I can say. Let's get back to GWAT 3 and 5.
Okay, the chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan was about, well, Brzezinski and speaking of Brzezinski, National Security Advisor Stansfield Turner, the DCI Director of Central Intelligence, had the Operation Cyclone to fund the Sunni VEOs during the 1980s, late 70s, early 1980s, which, back then they called the Mujahideen, which is comprised of, in modern terms, the Sunni Pashtun Taliban, the Sunni Tajik Taliban, the East Turkestan movement, the Haqqani Network, Lashkar al-Taiba, the the Quetta Shura Group, the Islamic movement of Uzbekistan, Islamic movement of Turkmenistan, and I think I named just about all the stands. There's one in each stand, and their idea is to replace the Khorasan. We're going to get in that on the map on that. So during GWAT was a regime change, nation building program. It failed, and the official end of that would be the withdrawal of Kabul, where they went back to regime change, destabilization. So that's what some of the people were not happy about me talking about that in the history of the foreign policy books that I was assigned in university. So me talking about the books that the professors assigned me apparently angered people. Anyway, that's just the way it is. So yeah, the purpose of that is to, same thing as it was then. It was back then, similar, I should say. Back then it was to disrupt Soviet and Chinese infrastructural projects, mainly Soviet. Okay, the Cold War is over. The central stands become the CIS countries. China moves in. So now it's to really disrupt Chinese infrastructural upgrades of the Central Asian stands. So now it's to do that. I know, Westerners are like, oh, surely my government wouldn't do that. Well, why do they have...
Don't call me Shirley.
Yeah, exactly. Why would these discrete government entities exist? Why would military tier 1 units exist if they weren't choir boys? Let me put it that way. So just somebody.
While you were talking, I went and I saved that LinkedIn meme. Here it is from Wall Street Oasis. Hey, little man, how's it going? I proposed to my girlfriend this week. Here is what it taught me about business-to-business sales. Yeah, LinkedIn in a meme, basically.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I was just disappointed, to find out my girlfriend was cheating on me.
Via LinkedIn?
Well, I saw Lily Phillips post her videos.
I don't know who your girlfriend is or who Lily Phillips is, but we'll keep your personal, rags off of our drawing rack here. Are we going to get through 6, 7, and so on? Are we ever going to get to Syria? Can I put my Syria memes up? Come on, man.
No,
we're supposed to talk about Syria.
We're talking about events.
We're supposed to talk about Syria.
We're talking about Syria. I'm doing the setup for Syria. Do you have to catch a bus?
We've done the setup for the last 2 years, George.
I don't care. All right. So they're trying to exacerbate the Shia versus Sunni rivalry. Okay, go down to the next one if you can, if that's not too much effort. If it wouldn't kill you to do that.
We'll see.
All right. The whole idea is that they use the Sunni VEOs. If you just jump straight into Syria, and I've had
violent extremist organizations.
I've had this discussion with somebody with one of the executive branch law enforcement agencies before, where he was shocked that I was saying such things occurred until I started rattling off the list of organizations that we trained, and then the people that the United States tactically trained then go work for the cartels. It's not one group, it's all of them. So anyway,
you've obviously been influenced by Russian propaganda and those Iranian drones that are flying overhead.
Well, yeah, you know it. Well, that I spend a lot of time on on gun ranges, on rifle ranges. So
I cannot confirm or deny what that means. The U.S. controls Syrian petroleum fields in northeast Syria. No. The sea power strategy is easy. Control the petroleum fields and pipeline routes in the Silk of Russia by destabilizing Iran next. Oh, we should pop up that picture of that pipeline from 2019. Is it 2009? When was it? That pipeline project that never happened, that's going to happen now that the freedom and democracy came?
There's a whole bunch of them. Well, they're still going to take 5 or 10 years. The AFD is going to rise to power before that anyway.
AFD, you mean Germany, yeah?
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what they want to stop, the Haushofer integration. I still don't think, I think it's too little too late. But that's just me. I mean, whatever.
Go on, George. 11?
Oh, yeah. So what are we going on, 12 now?
Yeah.
Okay, so, yeah, they want it. Okay, going back to what General Wesley Clark said, he said 7 countries in 5 years. U.S. was already in Afghanistan. That's really 8 countries in 5 years. I list them in geopolitical order because you want to control the oil fields and the pipeline routes, because you want to control, if you're going to control the maritime riverine and terrestrial choke points, it means you want to control the land bridges. You want to control the land bridges because that's where the pipelines go through. That's where the railroad lines go through. So, yeah, they want to destabilize Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, Iran, and Afghanistan so they can access Caspian Sea oil. It's not just Iran. There's so much oil and natural gas in the Caspian, in Turkmenistan, Kazakhstan, and then Uzbekistan, and then, yeah, Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan, not so much. It's up in the Fergana Valley area up there, and a few other areas too. And then, anyway, so the sea power encirclement strategies is to encircle Iran and then also take over those oil field areas. Oh, okay. So with that map up there, you want to control the land bridge in the South Caucasus between the Caspian Sea and the Black Sea. And you want to control that and the Mediterranean Sea. So the Middle East, if you control the Levant, then you control the land bridge between the Persian Gulf and the Red Sea. So the Middle East right there is the transit route to get oil and gas out of the Caspian Sea and Persian Gulf areas to Europe. So that's what they want to control. So you don't want the Russians to sell gas and build up their economy and military. They just want to this is just a blatant land grab. During the Cold War, the sea powers controlled the maritime choke points. So after the Cold War ended, it's about controlling the riverine and the terrestrial choke points, whether it be in the European Peninsula or the land bridges in that South Caucasus, Middle East area.
So, the Syrian example indicates the Turks. The Turks. Oh, by the way, everyone, don't forget to subscribe. The Turks clearly trained and equipped HTS, also known as Al-Qaeda Light, also known as Jabhat al-Nusra, also known as etc., etc., etc. Moderate rebels. I've got a graphic for that. Hold on. Where's my graphic?
I hope your
there we go.
graphic is graphic.
It's not too graphic. It's just a meme. Moderate rebel maker. Via
I have
работа.
I have no idea what that meme is about. Please change it.
Yes. So Idlib all the way to Damascus in 10 days shocked everyone like the rapid advance of the Sunni Pashtun Taliban did during the spring and summer of 2021 in Afghanistan. So do you think it was just like the Afghan pullout? Do you think this was also it's very un-Catholic and like their pullout game was strong?
I have no idea what you're referring to. But I do not want it. I do not want that explained, because otherwise the graphics
the graphics don't are unnecessary. That the words become graphic enough.
Anyway,
graphical humor.
It's prearranged in different ways.
Have you got graphs here? Have you got any graphs here to get graphical?
I got the maps and charts, below.
No graphs though.
No graphs. That'd be too graphic. But anyway, what the Pashtun did in Afghanistan was they took over the non-Pashtun areas first. And how was that so easy? Because the United States spent so much free helicopter money in Kabul that all the young Tajik and Uzbek men came down from up north. That was General Dastum's Northern Alliance, is the Uzbeks and the Tajiks, and some Turkmen and some Hazara, but mostly Uzbeks and Tajiks. They came down from up north, took all these, helicopter money jobs that the United States, the artificial economy that the United States built up. Then when we pulled out in 2021, let me back up a second. The population in Kabul was about 200,000 in 2000, and it went up to 6.5 million before the United States pulled out. So you're talking about millions of these people from the north came down to Kabul. Then all of a sudden, the United States just pulled out the free money and pulled out the security. So it's like cutting the welfare off and pulling out the police at the same time. They basically turned it into like a blue city. It really is unbelievable. You couldn't have done a worse job if you planned it. The problem is our government did that by accident. So the accident and incompetence, some part of it
sounds a little like Iraq and a lot like Syria.
Yeah. Well, we're getting there. So that's why I had to do this. I'm doing this comparisons because the Sunni Pashtun Taliban took over the non-Pashtun areas first. So then when it came down to taking over the rest of Afghanistan, you think it's going to take several months, right? Well, no, the Pashtun amongst themselves already had it worked out, where the Pashtun and the Afghan army would walk off the bases and leave the bases with all the weapons and the vehicles and the guns and the armaments all still intact. People were like, oh, they walked off and left them. Well, yes, the Pashtun left them for the Pashtun. It blew my mind how people did not get that. It's just mind-boggling. So, they think it was done by accident. No, they went back to the mosque, they took off their uniforms, and they came back. The same people, just about the same people, came back in traditional Pashtun garb. That's all. Yeah, it's not rocket sciences. So Afghanistan was prearranged in that context. All right, Syria was prearranged in another context because it was written about, different shows talked about how the LA Times had it written up that there was a buildup in Idlib. A couple other people had it discussed how Al Jazeera talked about it. Someone else posted how the New York Times article talked about that this summer. So if it was so well known in open source writing, obviously Assad and Putin knew it. So obviously there's some kind of calculated decision that they wanted just to forget about a sunk cost fallacy and just write that off because it's costing too much. So there's some kind of, Assad just retired. I mean, he's got to have billions in the bank from his father anyway, Hafez Assad. So yeah, he just said, F it and went into retirement, obviously. And then some of his generals had moved the armies down south and didn't leave them in Idlib. And yeah, there's some kind of stand down order or something, because yeah, that whole thing went down in 10 days.
Honestly, it looked a lot like the U.S. Liberation of Iraq, the second one or the third one, depends how you count them, where basically they paid off the generals, if I'm not mistaken. You know what I mean? And this seems to have been like the same kind of Turkish, or those people who gave you that mug, who paid off.
I forgot.
It's okay. You don't need the mug. Let it stay as a reference. Let it stay as a invisible reference. The mug that you have, people. So the muggy people plus the Turks probably paid off a shit ton of Syrian generals, and from what I understand, their salaries were $70 or something like that, $30. Officer level army, so not surprised that happened. But what can you do after so many years? I've got something here from. Hold on 1 second, George. I got something here from the Twitterverse. It says there was a red line that Israel was afraid to cross, and suddenly the red line. The red color became a green light for Israel to do whatever it wanted in Syria, which it is basically doing now. But other than that, fun with flags. Did you know that this was a colonial flag of the French mandate in Syria?
That's what I've heard.
Yeah, all kinds of Russian propaganda against the French now, too. Shall we get back to our points?
All right.
13 and 14, because we got to pump some of this out, and then I got to go do that other recording, and then I might be back with you recording some more, and then we can take our time. But now we got to make this video have some kind of value to the viewers, other than the comedic effect, of course.
Oh, all right. Oh yeah, so this one was just talked about how it was prearranged in the shadow government mosque that everybody knew was occurring. I'll just leave it at that. Well, everybody, never mind. Anyway, it was well known within certain circles of the military establishment that there was these shadow governments. I'll just say it that way. So surely the higher levels knew that was occurring. Same thing over here.
Surely is a very strange way to phrase things. What are the next outcomes? Shall we do that slide? What is the likely outcome?
Well, you can start to look at the pipeline map. Well, start to look at the oil field maps. Well, let's see. You have the United States. The United States already cut off Germany. They were supposed to go into GWAT and secure the oil fields and then cut Germany off.
Sorry, I gotta interject, but I'm gonna forget. I was watching Military Summary, and there's this new Ukrainian marking that they have on their new vehicles, and it is rumored that these guys are going to go into a new region of proper Russia, as in Russia proper. That region next to Belarus, I forgot off the top of my head, and their official target is the actual Druzhba pipeline that supplies, like the only remaining one that goes through Belarus and supplies some parts of I couldn't help but think of you, George. That's like breaking news, by the way, as breaking as it gets on Working Brother. So yeah, sorry to interject, but I had to run that by you.
Oh, I'll have to look at that. I was chatting with people from Armenia earlier, so I didn't have time to look into that yet. Oh yeah, when I wake up, I immediately try to get into news, but I also got to answer people back too, and I also got to prepare for these comedic shows. So because everything, well, whatever, we'll get to that. They cleared out the Gazans because of the oil and gas fields off the coast of Gaza. So then they're clear up to the the oil and gas fields off the coast of Lebanon. So then I'm sure this is coincidental. I mean, it's just by chance. But the IDF went up to southern Lebanon and up to the Litani River. Now all of a sudden they controlled Syria, and that whole thing happened. I'm sure it's coincidence.
Absolute coincidence. Anything else makes you a Russian propagandist, or maybe even a Hezbollah propagandist, or an Iranian propagandist?
You got the Qatar pipeline going from Sunni-controlled Qatar to Sunni-controlled Saudi Arabia, even though the part of Saudi Arabia that's going through is actually Shia Arab, not Sunni Arab, but the House of Saud is Sunni. The Qatar government is Sunni. The Bahrain government is Sunni, even though its population is majority Shia. And then it goes to Jordan, which is Sunni. And Syria is majority Sunni Arab, but the Alawites are a sect of Shia, and they controlled it. The Hafez Assad. But they're secular Baathists. They're actually not Islamists. So now they've got rid of the sect. And my interpreter was going crazy back in 11 and 12, talking about, no, they need to leave Assad in there because he's secular. And if you change it with the Sunni Arab VEOs, I'll leave the other acronyms out. I've already stated them anyway. But it would not be good, is what he was saying back in 11, 12.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that a lot of people said were not going to be good, and then people did them anyway, or the powers that be did them anyway. I wouldn't say people.
And then all they have to do is to fool the American public is just call the Sunni VEOs by a different 3 letters. I'll leave it at that.
We're gonna get back to recording later. George probably has more time in the afternoon, but I'm glad that this is moving towards Iran. Since the emphasis now will shift to destabilizing Iran next, what will Iran likely do? Faithful Promise 3, I think, is still in the works. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. How much more time do we have in this recording?
Well, we're 42 minutes in. We're 42 minutes in, so let's say another 10 minutes or so, and we'll wrap it up there.
Yeah. Okay. So let's just wrap up this one slide set.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's finish this. We'll do a preview of what's going on, and then we'll pick it up.
All right. Go on.
Yeah. So, yeah, they're gonna. Okay. Well. Okay. Inside Syria. HTS is everybody's going to want to control the oil fields. But Turkey is, since a small contingent of U.S. forces are in that eastern section of Syria where most of the oil fields are.
Small contingent.
I said contingent.
With their A-10 Warthogs and all. Anyway, go on.
But they're not stationed in Syria. They're stationed outside.
Sure, buddy.
Okay. They're. I already know where I know where they are. I won't say where they are, but I know where they are. Well, it should be kind of obvious. Anyone that's worked there, but anyway.
Or knows the flight range of a Warthog. Go on, George.
It's a jet, so it's not that far away. Anyway, they're. Turkey does not want the U.S. and the Kurds there. They're going to want to get rid of the Kurds. So they're going to put pressure on the U.S. to give it back to HTS. The Americans are not going to want to do that. And Israel, I'm just going to go way out on a limb, with the greater Israel maps that are all of a sudden everybody's talking about. Is Israel going to go up to the Euphrates River to join the U.S. forces? Like in that map. Does the United States stay? That alliance between Israel and Turkey, Turkey can shut off Israel's oil. So that's a problem. Israel does have to play this safe. But yeah, Israel's going to take a lot more land, and the Turks are going to want to move in and take over Kurdistan. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens to the U.S. Does the U.S. stay to where those oil fields are and get in between the Turks and the Israelis? Do they split it up somehow? Do they build refineries there and send some oil and gas to Turkey and send some to Israel? Because they're going to need to control that desert corridor now to send gas pipelines or something to Israel. I'm not saying this was pre-planned. I'm just talking about what they're going to do now, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that these kind of pipelines aren't already on the drawing board if someone just hits Google. But
I watched a pretty good movie about pipelines and petrodollars the other day. I can't remember what it's called. Maybe I'll remember for the next recording or find it and then tell y'all. But yeah, it reminded me of George. It was about something about the SAS, and actually it was about Georgia and a pipeline in Georgia. I will definitely remember what that movie is. George, you've got a map of Iran. Where's that thing? You've got a map of Iran for us next here.
Yeah, we'll start off there because they're going to want to push this into Iran to destabilize it. And we'll stop here, and then after this slide, and we'll pick it up again. We'll just do a little segue. Those are where the nuclear sites are inside Iran, and Israel's going to want to hit them. So if they move up to the Euphrates River, because they're going to want to control where the Sunni areas are and cut off Sunni support coming in from Iraq. So I'm guessing the Israelis are going to move up to there. Yeah, that gives them a clear pipeline route through the Golan into Israel, into Israel proper. It also cuts them off from, cuts off any Iranian insurgency coming from the Sunni areas of Iraq. So they're going to want to control that. So we'll get into those issues next. You're distracting me with the
Iranian mothership,
with the
aliens,
alien beings. He's got a good show, by the way. I do see that. He's been doing that
hilarious.
Show he's been doing that show for like 20 years.
It's beyond retarded. It's almost as retarded as the aliens meme. If the government is saying it's aliens, it's probably not aliens. That's all I can tell you. Whatever it is, it's probably not aliens. We got this shout out of a meme. From the Serbian deep state when she says she was in a deep state of depression, but all I heard was deep state.
Yeah.
George, anything you want to tell people while we round this up?
No.
No?
I'm not talking anymore.
All right. Everyone, like, share, subscribe. You know what to do. Thanks for sticking around. Where is this tune to get us out of here? All right. Peace out.